Now this is going to open the P&L report, which basically just gives you an income and expense table. And to use this section, there are two steps. First step is you need to select the type. Now the template supports 3 types. So click the drop down list. The first is monthly. This is going to generate a report for the current month, which is only August 2018. So you notice the label at the top changes to 4 months and then 31st of August. So this is going to show data only from the 1st up until the last day in the month of August 2018. The same way, if I change this to quarterly, it's going to show for the 4 quarters. So you notice here we have the 4 quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the label is from quarter 1 to quarter 4, 2018. And the last report, which is usually the most useful, is the annual report, which lists the 12 calendar months. That's from January up until December. So that way you can do a month-to-month comparison for your revenue and for your expenses. Now, step 1, as I said, is you select the type. Step number 2, in the upper right-hand corner, you enter the year. Now, by default, we're going to enter 2018 since we're currently in that year. But you can always change this to a past year or a future year. So now that we've done the 2 things, all I need to do is to click on the refresh button, and the template will automatically generate the report. So notice as I click refresh, it should list the income, 30,000 under the month of May. There we go. And notice the expenses I entered, 10,000 for marketing in January and 300,000 for my rent in February. So if I scroll to the bottom, we can be able to see our net ordinary income. Okay, so that's how the profit and loss report works. Your only source of income is from the loans you give, and the template will automatically calculate the interest earned as at the dates the transaction was made. So 30,000 interest amount as at May 2018. So that's how the section works. Next, we move to the investment section of the template. So clicking on the label takes us to that section. And this is where we document all investment transactions. It works exactly the same way. You notice we have the label at the top, the 2 buttons, the navigation pane, and our table where all investment transactions will be listed. We simply click on Add Investments. So first we indicate the investment start date. Now for this example, I'm just going to backdate. So let's assume that this customer invested on the 13th of August 2017. Next, that's using my tab key to move to the next field, I select the investor ID. Now the drop-down list here will list all investor IDs from my investor customer section. So you can either click, or if you know the number, you can go ahead and type it out. Once you're done, next you indicate the objective. Now you notice that the moment you select the investor ID, the template will return the investor name. The reason for this is in case you select the wrong number, you can always cross-reference with the name, and if it's not the same, you know you selected the wrong number, and then you can change it, okay? So once you select the ID, it will automatically return the name. Next, you indicate the objective and the principal amount. So let's assume that Mary invested 5 million, monthly deposits of 50,000, a duration of 3 years, and an annual interest of 5%. Now, once you enter the annual interest, the template will automatically calculate the monthly interest, which is pretty much 5 divided by 12. Now, ignore the format you see here. This is just Excel's way of, displaying multiple excessive decimals, but just ignore that. At the bottom here, it tells you that the interest is compounded 12 times a year. Now, this is important because this is how we designed the template. So n is always equal to 12. Now, once you're done supplying all the values, you simply click on enter, and it's going to store that investment transaction. So you notice that the first row should be populated with the values we supplied, the date, the ID, and all the other attributes. Now, if we scroll to the right, firstly, you notice that the monthly interest now has the right format, which is a bit over 0.4, which is 5% divided by 12. And the template has also automatically calculated the accumulated interest till date and the accumulated deposits. Now, these 2 values have been automatically calculated by Excel based on the start dates and today's date. Now, if I keep scrolling to the right, we have several additional columns. So we have a cancellation date, which I'm going to come back to, the month, the year, and if I keep scrolling, we have the month so far. Now, the month so far is a dynamic column. This will automatically calculate the duration of the investments. So since the investment started the 13th of August 2017, from that date up until today, there's approximately 13 months. And this number will continue to increase. So when you open the template next month, September, this will increase to 14, 15, up until 36, because this is a 3-year period. You notice the template also automatically calculated the end date, which is 3 years from the start date. So all the values, will be automatically calculated by Excel based on the start date that you specify. So that's why I said the start date is very important. You notice that the template also generates the current value and the total deposits. Now, if I scroll to the right, you notice that the template tells me that the accumulated deposit is 650,000. Now this is easy to calculate because this is pretty much 50,000 times 13. So if we do the maths, 50 times 13, we should arrive at 650,000. The next calculation is the accumulated interest till date. Now to be able to verify this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the browser to the website you provided. So I'm just going to quickly do that. And here's the website. So I'm just going to supply the same values here. So under base amount, I'm going to enter 5 million. Under annual interest rate, it's going to be 5%. Now the duration so far is 13 months and the monthly deposit is 50,000. So if we click calculate now, my browser doesn't take so long. There we go. So this is the table and you notice the value at the bottom. So it tells us that the interest that this customer should have as at today, the 13th month, is a bit almost 300,000. So that's 296,986. And if we go back to Excel, you notice it's the same value, 296,986. So it works exactly the same as the site you provided. In the same way, if I scroll to the extreme right, the current value should be 5.946986. And that's the same thing we saw on the browser, 5.9846986. So 946,986. Okay, so it's the same values we have. So that's how the template works to automatically calculate that for you. Now you mentioned that it's possible for a customer to start an investment plan of 3 years and then cut it in between. So let's assume this customer started on the 17th. The plan was supposed to last up until the 13th of August 2017. But let's say for some weird reason, from the last day or from December 2017, she stops making the recurring deposit or she requests for her money back. So all you need to do is to make use of the cancellation dates. So here I simply enter 13/12/2017. Now you notice the moment I enter this and I click enter, the template will automatically update the month so far. So you notice the month so far is reduced from 17 to 5. So this is the additional functionality that you paid for. The template will automatically change this based on the cancellation date and the current date. So if the cancellation date field is blank, the template will automatically calculate the difference from the start date till today, which is 13 months. However, if there's a cancellation date, the 13th of December, the template will automatically calculate the difference from the start to the cancellation date, which is 5 months. And you notice that all the formulas to have automatically updated. So now the current value is 5,358,180. And we can confirm this by going back to the browser. And I'm just going to update the value to 5. So instead of 13 months, we now have 5 months. And if I refresh that, there we go. So if I scroll to the bottom, what we have is 5,358,180, which is the same thing we have in Excel, which is 5,358,180. Okay, so it will dynamically update the other values. So that's our template. So at any point in time for any investment, you know the current value and then you equally know the interest that you have to pay to the customer. Now, whenever you repay the customer, now this is something that you let us know if this functionality is okay. How the template is designed currently is there's a repaid column. So it's assumed that probably at the end of the 3-year period or maybe on the cancellation date, you repay the customer. So here you simply specify if you've repaid yes or no. So if you've repaid, you simply enter yes, and the template will automatically document that the total amount, which is the principal plus the accumulated deposits plus the interest. So everything together has been repaid to the customer. Okay, so that's how the template works. Once you put on yes, the template automatically updates that. Okay, now this is only useful with the report. So shortly, I'm going to show you the customer investment report, and that's when this functionality works. Because if repaid is yes, when you're generating a report, it's going to show that the customer currently has no investment with you. So this works with the investor report. So that's pretty much a summary of how this works. So you can add as many investments or investors as your business requires. You simply click on add investments, supply all the values, and the template will automatically calculate that, and it will change on a daily basis. So the advantage here is you can open the template tomorrow and you can be able to know the current value of any customer's investment, because this is going to automatically update. That's the month so far. It's going to automatically change dynamically as you open your computer every day. So you can always know at any point in time the current value of any customer's investment. So that's a summary of how this section works. Lastly, we're just going to go to the reports and cover the investor reports summary. So going to the report section, we can make use of the third report to be able to see the summary I was referring to. But before I do that, first of all, let me go through the first two reports. Now, the first report, as the name says, is the expense report. This enables you generator reports for expense transactions for a particular period. Now, recall that in the expense section we covered earlier on, this is where you document all of your daily expenses. Now, as you keep entering transactions, this section is going to be clustered as you keep stacking expenses upon each other. Now, it's possible that you just want to see all expenses within a particular period. Or for instance, how much did you spend in total on advertising for a particular month? That's when you make use of the expense report. Here you pretty much click the report. It's going to automatically refresh once you click it. And at the top, you can select your filters. So first of all, I can select the year I want to see, 2018. Next, I can indicate the months. So this is showing me for only January now. Notice advertising, I spent 10,000. If I change this from January to February, you notice that it's going to show me only February transaction, which is only my rent, which I spent 300,000. And if I want to see all, the entire 2018, I simply select all here, and it's going to show me all transactions from January up until December. So you notice that the total I've spent is 310. So I can filter by year, by month, and also by category. So later on, if you want to know the total amount you spent on advertising, you select the year, the month, and at the side here, you select advertising. You notice it shows me only advertising. Or if you select rent, it's going to show you only rent. So this way you can quickly see transactions based on category, year, and month. Now, if you want to see for everything, so clearing this filter, you click on this funnel in the upper right-hand corner. Notice if you hover over it, it says clear filter. So once you click, it's going to clear the filter and show all transactions across all categories. Okay, so that's the expense report. This enables you to just group your expenses by category, see the total amount you spend within a particular period. The next report is the customer report. Now, this works with the loan section. Okay, so in the loan section, this is where you're going to document all of your loans. So if you have 20 different loans in a particular month, all 20 loans are going to be stacked upon each other. Now, the loan report just enables you to generate a report for a particular customer. So all you do is at the top, you select the customer's name and the period you want to see the transactions for. So notice we have 3 filters here. Actually, we have 4. You can filter by the name, the year, the month, and also by the type of transaction. So if I want to see all transactions, well, we have only one customer, so only rows. If I click OK, it's going to show all transactions for rows. If I want to see for a particular year, I simply select the year 2018, and I can also select the month. Now, later on, when you have multiple customers, you notice there's a search feature here. So you can start typing, and it's going to filter all the customers here by what you type. So if you have 1,000 customers, instead of scrolling down, you can start typing any portion of their name you remember, and it's going to filter them and display only customers that have those characters. Okay, so this is the transactions for rows. And if I want to see all loan transactions, I simply click on loan. And the only loan transaction for rows is on the 13th of May. This is the loan, this is the principal, and this is everything. If I want to see loan and payments, I simply add payments to that. And it's going to show me, okay, for rows, there is a loan on the 13th and a payment on the 20th. This is the type. If I want to see everything, the default charges, the loan, and the payment, I simply clear the filter. And it's going to list all transactions that have the customer rows. So the advantage of this is that you can be able to see all loan transactions pertaining to a customer within a particular year and or months. Okay, so that's how this summary works. It just enables you see the principal amount, the interest you've charged, and all payments you've received. So this column will show you all the payments you've received from this customer. This column will show you the principal, the charge, and the default total. So you can be able to know the summary for this particular customer. Now, the third report, which is the report I initially wanted to start with, is our investor report. Now, the investor report enables you see your investor summary. And we modeled it after the sample you sent. It's not identical, but it's a bit similar. So at the top here, you enter the date that you're printing out the report. You notice we have your logo in the upper left-hand corner, and we have a financial statement prepared for. So here, you select the investor ID. Now, this is a drop-down list. So it's going to list all investor IDs in your database. Now, once you select it, will automatically return the investor's name. This is page 1, the cover page. And on page 2, it's going to list the bio data for the customer you select. So notice the name, the address, the phone, and all other data. Now, you notice some fields are blank, like the sex, the email, and so on. This is because we didn't supply these values when we're adding this customer. So if we go back to the investor customer information section, by going to customers, then we go to investors. You notice that the email is blank, the address is blank. So now I'm just quickly going to add an email just to show you how dynamic that section is, that it will automatically update that section. So I'm going to put that as Lagos, and I'm just going to put a gender. Where's the gender field? There we go. So the gender will be female. There we go. So now if I go back to that report, you notice that the template will automatically add the email, the address, and the gender that I just added. So if we go back to our reports and we go to our investor report, scroll to the bottom, we should now see female, address, and email address. So all sections are interconnected. As you update one section, it will automatically populate the other section. At the bottom here, you affix or you type in your account officer information, your name, your phone, your email. And at the bottom here, the template will automatically generate the financial standing as at today. Not as at yesterday, not as at a month or 2 months before, but as at today, which is the 13th of August, 2018. At the bottom, it's going to do a summary table. So for this customer, it tells us that she has only one type of asset, which is a standard, and that's why it's 100%. And this is the current deposit, the interest, and the balance. Now, going back to the investor section, we can confirm that. You notice that indeed for that customer, there's only one transaction, and it is indeed a standard investment. Now, recall earlier on, I was talking about the cancellation and the repayment field. Now, so long as the repaid column is blank, whenever you generate a report, it's going to list this asset under this customer. But if I change this to yes, what you're telling the template is that this asset, that's all the funds with you, has been repaid to the customer. So you've repaid the principal plus the interest plus the deposits. So the customer has no more money with you. The transaction is over. So once you indicate yes, if you go back to that report, you notice that it's going to be blank because based on the template, this customer has no assets with you. So you notice everything is zero. So the template automatically recognizes that this asset has been paid off. So that's how dynamic this section is. Now, just to show how this whole function works plus the chart, I'm just going to add 2 other assets just so that we can see some data here. I'm just going to go back to the section. I'm going to do this very fast so that this video doesn't extend beyond this scheduled time. So first of all, I'm going to delete the repayments. Yes, I entered here so that it can be listed. Next, I'm going to add the other 2 investments. So I'm going to make this January of this year. It's going to be the same investor. This is going to be premium. Let's assume this is 2 million and there's a 20,000 deposit. This is for 4 years and we have a 4% interest. So this is the first investment, premium, and then the second one I'm going to add will be fixed for the same customer, and I'm just going to make this February. Now, as I said, ignore the validity of this data. I'm just trying to show how the report works. So let's assume this time around there's 3.5, there's a 36,000 monthly deposits. I added an extra 0 there, and this is going to be for 2 years. This is going to be 2% interest. Okay, so let's just assume this is, as I said, ignore the validity if the percentages don't make any sense. So now we have 3 investments for this particular customer, and they're all with us because the repayments column is blank, meaning we haven't repaid, so the amount of money is still with us. You notice the template has automatically calculated the accumulated deposits, the interest, and all of that. So now if I go back to that report, that is my investor report, you notice that the table has automatically updated. It tells us that 47% is the standard, 19% is the premium, and 33% is the fixed, everything totaling 100%. You can equally see our chart here that's telling us 3 asset types, and it has populated the deposit, the interest, and the total balance. So that's how dynamic this template is. But if I change any of the repaid to yes, it's going to remove it from this table here. And just to show how dynamic this is, I'm going to quickly add another investor, just very quickly. So I'm just going to add another investor. And so I've added the first name, and I'm going to add the last name. The birthday can be 1960. There we go. So I've added another investor. So now if I go back to the report and I generate a report for this investor, everything should be blank because this investor hasn't invested anything. So if I go to my P&L statement, if I go to my investor report and I change this to the new customer we just added, you notice Chica Williams. And if I scroll to the bottom, everything is going to be blank because I didn't add anything for Chica except for the phone number and the birth date. And you notice everything is 0. Okay, so that's how dynamic the report is. But if I change this from Chika Williams now back to Mary John, or Mary John, you notice everything updates back. The female, the birthday, the email, and all the investments, including our chart. Okay, so that's how dynamic this is. This just enables you for any particular customer at any point in time, know the total investments they have and their current value. So that's the summary of the reports and the template. The P&L statement, I already covered this. So you can generate a quarterly report, and we're going to see the 30,000 under the second quarter because May is in the second quarter. And if I generate a monthly report, we should not see anything because August, we did not earn any income. So everything is zero. Okay, so that's how the report and the template works. Thanks, and do take care.